Hi, my name is Jordana Davidson. I'm the clinical outreach coordinator at the Cape Clinic, and in honor of May being Mental Health Month and in lieu of the current COVID-19 crisis, I'm thrilled to have three wonderful clinicians joining us to discuss some questions that have come up as we all try to navigate this challenging time. So we have Ruth Finkelstein, Enid Miller, and Shelley Hoffman, all clinicians at our Cape Mental Health Clinic. In case you're not familiar with Cape, Cape is an outpatient mental health clinic based in Little Neck. We also have 12 satellite clinics located throughout the borough of Queens. And we're currently offering teletherapy during this crisis for the community and for people who are existing clients as well. So let's get into it. Thank you all for being here again. And I think where I really wanted to start was that one question I've been getting quite a lot is my anxiety normal? Is my level of anxiety normal? Is it excessive? When should I, is it okay for me to be anxious at this time? So how do you answer that? Maybe you want to start, Enid?
Well, I do think that it's normal to feel anxious during this time. There is, I think, it's a universal anxiety. I think we start getting into a little bit of trouble when the anxiety paralyzes us. And we have these fixations that we can't get over. The obsessive thinking that really does prevent us from moving forward in our daily, everyday life. That would be, I think, a red flag.
And when you say obsessive thinking, you mean what?
It could be over health.
Mm-hmm.
It could be over livelihood. It could be over anything, even just having something go wrong in your house. The obsessive thinking that, what if I have a leak? What if my toilet starts running? I've come into, people just really obsessing over what will happen if not so much their personal well-being, but the well-being of their children, their grandchildren, to the point that they are just, it's not even rational thinking. Mm-hmm. Nothing has actually happened to give them those thoughts. We talk about social distancing. I talk about media distancing, getting a little bit of the news, what's going on, but not getting so fixated that it does promote this anxiety.
Thank you. Any other ideas on what would be considered excessive anxiety as opposed to normal anxiety?
Well, I agree with, oh, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ruth. Go ahead.
I agree with everything that Enid just said. And, I think all emotions are normal, and we're going to have, we and our clients and everybody today, just, this is a terrible crisis that none of us were prepared for. And so we're going to have a lot of feelings. And I think that what's important for me is the idea of not being stuck in it. Feel it, touch it, own it, and then it's what's next. And if we can get to that, whether it's ourselves or our clients, friends, family, then I think we're in a really good spot.
Mm-hmm. Shelley, you wanted to say something?
I guess really Enid and Ruth is saying everything. Just all of the anxiety that we feel now, which is normal, universal, and not possible to not feel, but it's also layered on top of our own personalities. Right. So just to be aware of that, because if we tended to be that type of person that we consider ourselves to be a worrier, or we catastrophize, so the worst is going to happen, or it's black and white thinking. So this again gets layered on that. We just sort of want to understand, just to be more mindful of our own tendencies, and to try and slow that down a bit in this process.
Very.
Mm. And I know we mentioned, I think it was Enid that mentioned media distancing and maybe not consuming news all day long. Are there other strategies you can think of that might help people to minimize some of that anxiety?
Well, I usually, one of the things I talk about is that I think that's a big one that Enid's mentioning of that, because that there's not that much left to do, so there's not much left to distract oneself, and you sort of become this glutton for information, and the powers that be are so dissociated and divided. But I sort of help or try to tell people to pull back and really take it minute by minute. So a lot of my clients say they wake up in the morning, and as soon as they wake up, they're feeling depressed and angry, and they find that whereas they used to get out of bed and get their day started, they're lingering in bed more. They don't really feel motivated to get out of bed, which is again pretty normal. There's no structure now. There's no precedence for this, and then that's layered on top of guilt of why do I do this, and is there something wrong with me, and am I depressed? And it becomes self-loathing. And so I sort of remind people that this is a tough time, to give oneself permission to feel, as Ruth was saying, and then to chunk it down to minute by minute. And because really that's what we can take control over. We can take control over, in this minute, let me just get up, go brush my teeth, have my coffee. And really sort of take the day in those sorts of doses, when that overwhelming feeling is coming up. So chunking it down to minute by minute to be in control.
Yeah, I think that's really on point, and it's something I've been talking about also with my clients. Like, don't worry about tomorrow or even 5 minutes from now. Just stay present. But the other thing that I've been talking a lot with clients about, and myself and friends, is maintain a schedule. Like, really try to get up at the same time that you always got up. If you took a shower in the morning, take that shower in the morning. If whatever, put on that lipstick, put on a little makeup, put the earrings on, put a nice shirt, put whatever you would wear for that day to go out, because I think it's important, even if you're going to spend the whole day in your house, to maintain a schedule. And then from that schedule, like, other things might come up. You might find a kind of a cool Zoom class. Just even getting on Zoom is also quite an accomplishment. At least for me it was, and certainly for a lot of my clients. But that can really give a big window of opportunities to talk to other people, to take classes. So if you were going to a center, get on Zoom at the same time that you were taking your Zumba class or your knitting class, or, get 2 or 3 people on Zoom and do a knitting class, whatever it is, to maintain some normalcy, so we can walk away from the news, from panic, from anxiety, from worrying about, well, what am I doing, 3 days from now or a month from now or whatever it is, and from the fear of it all, normalize, what's happening.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I think also, if I could just add one thing to to notice what you're feeling and not stay with the pain.
Right.
So that if you are noticing that you're feeling really crummy or depressed, or you're feeling it somatically, your stomach is bothering you, or you're not sleeping, or whatever it is, to be able to say to yourself, this doesn't feel good, and I'm choosing at this moment to not stay with a feeling that doesn't make me feel good. So I choose to do something else. I choose to move and go open the window and stick my head outside to get some sunlight, just because that shifts the energy. And why choose to stay in a feeling that feels oppressive if you can not do that at that moment?
Thank you. Yeah. The other thing that I've kind of been wondering about, and I've had a lot of people ask, how do we manage relationships right now? Some of us are, in apartments alone, and maybe we don't have people who we're closely connected to, so we might feel isolated and we might struggle to connect with others. Some of us are living with family members who maybe we're not used to spending as much time with, and there's conflict potentially there. So what are some suggestions about how you might manage conflict during this time?
I don't necessarily think that conflict will be resolved.
Mhm.
I think we have to be realistic that if there was conflict prior to this pandemic, I don't think a magic wand is going to bring everybody closer together. But there are certain techniques that I find are helpful for some of my clients that have unresolved feelings towards friends, family members. A lot of my clients are taking to journaling, letter writing. And these are people who are very much into verbal communication, but they are finding that it actually adds structure to their day, that every day that they are able to express themselves in a journal. And when they write a letter, that they go back to it and add to it. Some of them have mailed the letters. Some of them have chosen to just put it in a drawer, but that helps them connect and disconnect at the same time. That's one of the techniques that I find to be helpful for them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's very nice. I think also too, this is, a time when we have to, or clients, we all have to look at ourselves and sort of let go of things that held us back before. So if we're not that person that reaches out and asks for help, to take a deep breath and plunge in and make the phone call, that you've been resisting. Call other people to find out how they're doing, because if you get them used to it, they're going to call back and ask you how you're doing. Be able to set boundaries when you have to, so if somebody is if there is conflict or if there's over intrusion, to be able to to be able to feel one's needs and be able to say something. To be able to ask for help from neighbors if you can. If you're having food delivered, anything, anywhere you can do outreach to get someone to connect to is important. And I think, of course, all of us, as we're calling, I'm finding that is extremely important to our clients, and they feel supported, and it is a connection to the outside world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that people are coming up with such creative ways to connect at this point, whether it's by Zoom or by phone. I know some people are doing birthday parties as they drive by people's homes and things like that. They're really finding unique ways to connect.
There's a
Yeah, some of my clients have. Go ahead. Some clients have actually been using this time in a really very positively, calling family members that they had a lot of conflict with, and sort of working it out and forgiving them and asking them to forgive themselves. And that was very curative. Like Shelley was saying, some of my clients have used the time to be of service, to call others, to wish people well when they really didn't want to, and things like that. And I think that's a very healthy way of using this time.
Ina, did you want to add something?
I was just thinking, there's such a sense of accomplishment I'm finding with a lot of my clients who would never have used the video platforms that we have now. And with just a little guidance and a little patience, they really do feel a sense of competency. And that also gives them control to reach out to grandchildren, to children, that they never would have done before, that there is that urgency to be able to see someone, to see the emotion, not to see a mask, but to see a face, to see the eyes light up, to see a smile, a giggle. So in particular, for our senior population, they didn't realize the universal ways they can use their phones. They just had no idea the capabilities that their phones had, that their computers had. So it's very nice to see.
Yeah, I've loved that too. So the last question I have is around sleep. I know a lot of people have had trouble sleeping during this time, may have already had trouble sleeping before the pandemic and are now feeling that they're having some disturbing dreams. There's been some articles about that recently. Any strategies for relaxing yourself before bed or trying to improve your sleep quality?
I am an advocate 100% of lavender oil. I tell people, anyone who's going to listen to me, just to get a little lavender oil, put it on your wrist, put it behind your ears, whatever you want. And I find that to be very relaxing. But that's usually at the end also of a whole ritual. So I have done a lot of sleep hygiene work. You know, you have a lot of light. Do you have too little, too much light? Is it hot? Is it too cold? What does your bedroom look like? I've been really surprised. People send me pictures that their bedroom is like a mess. So like, of course you're not going to be able to sleep. So maybe, especially now since you're home, like take some time, clean out the bedroom, make it pretty, make it only for sleep. You know, if you get out of bed, don't turn on all the lights, and, you know, just try to go, you know, for a minute to another room and then go back to bed. So a lot of sleep hygiene kinds of discussions, which my clients have found really, 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 really helpful. Really helpful. And then to get their sleep under control, both in terms of sleeping well, but also like not staying up till 3 in the morning and then getting up at 2 in the afternoon, you know, maintaining that schedule.
Thank you.
That's funny that you say that, Ruth, because I have a beautiful lavender lotion that I have on my night table, and I put it on my hands every night without even thinking about it. It always makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this is so relaxing and helps me to sleep. But I was having this discussion even with friends of mine, because I noticed for me at the very beginning, I was having dreams that I thought I probably have them all the time, because we have dreams all the time, but and probably as graphic and different stuff that I didn't think I was normally dreaming about. And then a friend mentioned it to me, so I realized it had to be happening universally. And I think my guess is because first of all, our whole time frame is so different. Our work schedules, our life schedules, our sleep schedules, everything is different. And there are so many issues that we are working out, and you don't stop working them out while you're sleeping. So those are very rich, productive times of working through subconscious and unconscious. So all of these problems or conflicts or questions or unknowns are present. And of course, dreams are always symbolic. So you're gonna choose your symbols from your life, and then they're going to resolve or not resolve in whatever ways. If we're waking up later in the morning, we have more time in the morning to sort of sit with them. So I suggest for myself, and I love doing this, and with other people, to sit with them and to just, even if whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable, to sort of own them in a way that's really delicious. Because if you can just stay with, you know, what do I feel like, or what did that feel like, or when I was dreaming about this person and they were running down and etc. What was I feeling, and to understand that those are the same feelings that we're feeling about whatever the narratives are in life now. You know, whether it's when is this going to end, or how is this going to end, or am I going to see this person, etc. So sort of to relax and not be frightened by our dreams, to be able to use them to flesh out more of getting to know ourselves. And I think the other thing also is it's hard to not watch CNN or whatever TV right before you go to sleep, because that's certainly not a relaxing mark to sort of roll off on. And the breathing and relaxing, and for myself, when I'm trying to sleep and I'm relaxing, trying to relax my muscles, and again, just be in that moment, be mindful of just that moment, helps me. Not all the time, but it helps me.
Yeah, I've been doing something similar. I've been using meditation tapes and like listening to meditation tapes. I find really relaxing at night.
I think it's important to set up a nighttime ritual. And I actually I have a lot of fun being creative with some of my clients on what that looks like for them. It might be making chamomile tea and lighting a candle and using Alexa to play some relaxing music, or to download Calm or Headspace in their phone. A few of my clients actually go to prayer. They find that praying before bed actually centers, focuses, calms, soothes them. So everyone has a different ritual that will work for them. Not everything will work for every person, but it's fun. It's fun coming up with different rituals for relaxation. I like the deep breathing. I like being in touch with your body and listening to your body.
Yeah, those are all great strategies. I'm wondering, does anybody have any strategies they've been using to keep yourself sane during this time?
I talk to all of you.
That's right, connection. I've been going for walks with my dog. I find that that's very relaxing. And if you can do it safely, I think walks outside are helpful.
Yeah, I find that very helpful too. I try and push myself to do that because it really does help. It helps also to lift the serotonin and just to shift perspective. When you're locked in a space all day long and then you're taking a walk and breathing and seeing other people, it's helpful.
Right.
I've been dancing with Jeff.
I love that.
We do. We put on music. We used to take dance lessons many, many years ago. Mm-hmm. And now we're dancing. It's a lot of fun.
That's fun. Well, yes, I find that my faith is really helpful. And so since I have extra time because I'm not traveling and whatever, I've really been focusing a lot on that. And for me, that's been grounding. It's been elevating. It's been wonderful. And it's something that my clients also have shared with me that is helpful to them. That in this very hard time, they look for something outside of themselves. In addition to everything else that you guys were saying, dancing, going out and a little bit and getting out. But that's what's worked for me. And I also love to cook. I love anything that has to do with the kitchen. So, I will plan these elaborate meals. Luckily, I'm across the street from the market. I'll go to the market. I will buy it and I will make it, even if it's just for me right now. And I really enjoy it. I love the smells and the touch and the different colors and having a big plate full of different foods. And it's fun. And it feels normal and light.
Great.
I think also for me, I just, I noticed the things that I couldn't do before. So for me, Enid, it's not, I'm going to tell Jack about dancing, but we've been eating dinners together, which we don't, before pandemic, we didn't do that because I was either seeing patients and Jack was actually seeing patients in my office, or Jack was running out to do something, and dinner would be quick. What are we eating? We'll put it on the table. We're actually now sitting down and dining with each other every single night and have been since the beginning of this. So that's been really different. And then being able to have conversations which are different, quietly, slowly, appreciating. I've been doing FaceTime with grandchildren and we have our set time. I have dinner with one and dinner with another, and we know which songs we're going to sing with each one. And so that's been lovely. And I kind of know there's a point at which that's going to end, because at some point, hopefully, eventually, because nothing does stay the same. If we get back to some different normal, you know, people again will be too busy to do FaceTime at dinner time. So I'm trying to really hold on to those pieces that are good.
Mhm. Well, thank you all so much. This has been really, really helpful. I know for me, and I'm sure it will be helpful for other people. So I think that we can talk about maybe doing more of these videos going forward and trying to be helpful to people during this time. I know all of you have been such a help to people and your clients. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I really, really
Yeah.
appreciate it.